Good morning and a happy Friday morning to everybody. I'm trying to make these not so long, but as they used to be, they're getting longer and longer and longer. I'm sorry, you guys. So this is like a 14-minute long video, and this is just video one. There is a video number 2. You're not going to want to miss that. But we have two big stories in here. One you've probably heard of before, but the other one is the royal family's plan against Harry and Meghan and how it's working out, which I think is really well. So there's a lot to cover. Let's jump in and get there, shall we? Let's go. We knew Harry was heading back from South Africa, and reports were starting to come out that he was going to be holding what they were calling, quote, crunch talks with her after being gone for 3 weeks. Now, while they're still focused on, it's being reported on moving forward, something has happened, because when Harry was finished in South Africa, instead of running straight back to Meghan and the kids, he then went to Cape Town, where Diana's brother has a house and his cousins were there, and he spent time there. And you have to wonder if he was picking their brains on what to do, on how to get out of this marriage. What do I do about the kids? What's happening? Because I feel like when he's away from her, he becomes more of himself. Does that make sense? So Harry's been gone for 3 weeks. Now he's on his way back. We know that Meghan I firmly still believe as a +1 to the Children's Hospital Los Angeles Gala, the CHLA Gala with her friend, that she couldn't let even have her own red carpet moment. And we know that right after that, there was a lot of talk about how she got there. And then Meghan put out the statement about how actually I was a special guest. I had received an invitation specifically from, the president. And they went on and on about she has a long-standing relationship with the hospital, having visited to meet patients and participate, blah, blah. I only believe that she went there once that we're aware of, and that was when she read that book to the kids, and it looked very awkward. That whole thing looked very awkward. Anyway, in the statement, Meghan used her buzzwords: success, power of community, support. You guys know what I'm saying. The idea behind this is to help her image. The problem is when you have articles like this coming out, and there's a clear pattern of the way she treats people, how she uses them, abuses them, and then loses them. She literally cuts them dead if they cross her. She has a long pattern of this kind of behavior. If they upset her or speak about her or go to the press without her permission, then she gets rid of them. So it's very hard for people to deal with somebody like that. And people are fed up with Meghan. And some of these friends are so hurt by the mistreatment that they're starting to speak out about her behavior towards them. Here's just a few examples. You have Lizzie Cundy, that Meghan ghosted her and stopped all communication with her after her engagement to Prince Harry. It's Lizzie Cundy that said that Meghan showed up for the pictures and that she wasn't really involved in any of the stuff going on, and that she's been hit with bad publicity, and that's why all of this is going on. All right. Now, another pal, Jessica Mulroney, fell out with Meghan after Jessica became embroiled in that race row with Canadian blogger Sasha Exeter. And even though she issued 2 public apologies, Meghan basically ghosted her. Let's look at some other people that have been ghosted. How about Meghan's own father, who was thrust into the spotlight when he spoke to the paparazzi before the royal wedding? And after Oprah, where Meghan said she had lost her father, she didn't lose her father. He's well and alive. She stopped speaking to him. Thomas Markle has apologized, and yet she will not speak to him. She hasn't gone to visit him, even though he's had 2 heart attacks and a serious stroke. All right, how about Samantha Markle? She wasn't at Meghan's first wedding, they're claiming, but I think that has something more to do with her being in a wheelchair. She didn't get an invitation to the second wedding. She then went and released that book, The Diary of Princess Pushy Sister, which they're claiming was because she was riding the fame train. I don't think that's what was going on at all. I think she was really hurt. To be fair, Meghan claims she was a single child, but there's pictures all growing up of her with Samantha. She also claims some really mean stuff about Samantha. So, all right. Next up, Piers Morgan. This was interesting. They connected on social media in 2016, and they met when Meghan visited the UK to support Serena Williams at Wimbledon. They met up in a pub. They spent hours together. They got along really well. And then it turned out that as soon as she met Harry, she never spoke with Piers Morgan again. So she totally ghosted Piers Morgan. She probably shouldn't have done that, as we now know. Then you have Naomi Pretty, Meghan's childhood friend. They grew up together. She was at her first wedding, at Meghan's first wedding to Trevor. Once Meghan married Harry, Naomi, apparently, according to this article, was talking to the tabloid, sharing details about the first wedding, all this kind of stuff. Now, Naomi says she no longer recognizes Meghan. She says, I think Meghan was calculated in the way she handles people and relationships. She's very strategic in the way she cultivates her circle of friends. And once she decides that you're not part of her life, she's very cold. It's this shutdown mechanism she has. There's nothing to negotiate. She's made her decision, and that's it. Now, this one is a little bit different, but it's still basically the same thing. You have the Beckhams. You have David and Victoria Beckham, who went out of their way to be so nice to her. And she accused them of doing things, oh my God. And she had Harry do the dirty work and cut them off. Now, we do know that since then, she's tried to get back in with the Beckhams, but the Beckhams are like, that's okay. No, thank you. Once somebody shows you who they are, you should just, believe them. Here's one that you may not know about, Wend Pierce. He was the person that played Meghan's father on Suits. He spoke out in 2021 and said, quote, it was insensitive and offensive that we are all complicit in this sort of palace gossip. In the midst of so much death, I think it's insignificant. Today, 3,000 people are going to die in America from COVID. A couple of hundred people are going to die within this hour in the UK. And like most people, when the article came out, he started backtracking, saying, I didn't see the interview. I didn't know it was about her suicidal thoughts. I would never demean a person's mental health. My words were twisted, a classic tabloid trick. That was not the spirit of what I was saying. Yes, it was the spirit. You just couldn't take the heat. Point is, guys, Meghan has a long history of use them and lose them. And if you speak to the press without her permission, you are definitely cut off. So, these anonymous sources, they've been sent to the press by Meghan. All right, let's move on to our last story. A lot of authors are speaking out. I told you yesterday about Liz Jones and what she had to say about Meghan. Well, veteran royal reporter Jenny Bond and also royal photographer Arthur Edwards have had a lot to say. They're saying that Harry and Meghan's behavior is deplorable and stupid. Jenny Bond told The Sun's Matt Wilkinson that Harry was really not smart to write The Spare. Arthur Edwards pointing out he wanted to leave the royal family and he wanted to live in America with Meghan, and that's his choice. But then to go and start being really nasty about the royal family just to make money. Now, we know that this photographer, got famous for taking early images of Princess Diana. And then he compared Harry with the former King Edward, who also left Britain in 1937. And he goes, when he abdicated, he went abroad, but he never ever said anything about the royal family. He even met Hitler, but he didn't say one word about the royal family. Well, now a lot of people are talking about the fact that Harry did this whole 3-week tour without Meghan, and that his advisors basically said to him, you need to raise your profile and you need to do it with children and you need to get away from your wife. And what's being said is the more he does on his own, he can carve out some new projects and heal himself, and maybe something can help with the family down the road. He doesn't even have friends that he can go out to pubs with because, all of his friends have to be vetted through Meghan. And let's face it, the royal family has finally iced out Harry and Meghan. They attempted to give them invitations to things to keep them back in the fold. We know how that all works. We all know that at the very beginning when Harry and Meghan left, they tried to be civil and save face in public. And, they offered them olive branches. They offered them, opportunities to re-engage with the family. But every single time Harry and Meghan came to something, there was more tension, more grievances, and fresh drama. Don't forget, they were invited to the coronation. Harry showed up. And then after that, suddenly extra chapters appeared in Omid Scobie's book. You guys get what I'm saying? Seems to me that it didn't matter what the royal family did. Every hand out to the Sussexes was met with a hand slap. Okay, they were invited to the Platinum Jubilee. And then right after the Platinum Jubilee, they did the Oprah interview where they slammed the family again. And they chose not to attend certain functions, but made it sound like the royal family, was not being nice to them. It's very obvious that the family attempted at all times to put on a unified front, but it's pretty obvious also that here we are 2 days after the wedding and there were already tensions. I think the family wasn't happy about the wedding to begin with. So here they are before they go out for Charles's birthday, Meghan's smiling, and then the next thing you know, she's behind Camilla's back, eyeing her up and down. Look at her. She's like, down, up, yeah, whatever. And she turns her back on her. So I think in the beginning, the family was trying to cater to them and invitations were open. You can always come for Christmas, to Balmoral. We can always do this. And the British media was speculating that this was a strategy to avoid further embarrassment and limit the damage to the royal family. Because let's face it, their reputation was being damaged, but it became very obvious. Then the Me You Can't See came out, then the cut interview. Omid Scobie was constantly, running his mouth. So the turning point came when the Sussexes were no longer publicly acknowledged. They lowered their profile on the royal family website. They were no longer, invited to Christmas at Sandringham. It just didn't happen anymore. When King Charles gave his first Christmas address, he did not really mention the Sussexes at all. So without the photo ops or the personal interaction and basically removing Harry and Meghan from the royal narrative, it's proven to be very effective because the monarchy continues on. They refuse to retaliate publicly or engage in any of what Harry and Meghan are doing. They have reasserted their role as a symbol of stability and tradition and not part of the scandal and the public drama. I think they're using the Queen's mantra of the never complain, never explain. But still, to this day, when I think about what they put her and Philip through in their last few months on this earth, I get so angry. This idea of icing them out has worked really well for Charles and Camilla because without new information, they can't throw any more bombs at the royal family. And in the meantime, Harry and Meghan are now struggling to maintain their relevance. Their post-royal ventures don't have momentum because they don't have the royal connections anymore. And so that's why they've had to split their interests and go solo. Now, the funny thing is that the more Harry and Meghan try to air the royal family dirty laundry, it's actually benefited the monarchy because the monarchy has come out stronger and more focused and less distracted. So I think the cutting them off thing was absolutely the right thing to do. The analogy was used like a fire. You starve it of oxygen and it dies out. The royal family has their dignity. They have not spoken because their silence is louder than their words. And so cutting them off has been a winning move for the royal family. Good for them. All right, you guys, you know what to do. Hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications, which you probably won't receive. Leave your comment below, then go down into the description box and find the link to video number 2. Follow me over. Let's go.